Alrighty, and we are back with chapter 13. Wow. Alrighty. Not sure how many parts this is gonna be, so yeah. Alright, let's start. Plans for the next several days are made loosely over the course of the entire day. Canada and America both reason that Leipzig is their best chance to get out, but can't agree on whether or not it is a good idea. They both want to find England and France and get everyone out safely, and America wants to get Canada home for a cure. But Matthew doesn't want to be a burden or risk anyone's safety. After being updated on the state of humanity in Europe by ways of stories from Denmark, he becomes especially resistant and spends over an hour trying to convince them to make for Leipzig without him. Ivan can come find me when he brings the submarines, he tries. I can hold out till then. Denmark is quick to remind him that without his eyes, he's going to have a damn hard time feeding himself and keeping the fire lit. By the time they reach an agreement, it's well past midnight, and Peter is only half awake, resting under a blanket with his head in Denmark's lap, listening groggily while Denmark's fingers run through his hair. He's tired of hearing America's loud arguing and Canada's shy martyrdom? I don't know. It seems stupid to him. It's obvious that Alfred has no intention of changing his mind, and Denmark can't get a word in edgewise one way or the other, so, as Peter sees it, the discussion should have been over hours ago. They could have spent the time in town collecting supplies and getting ready instead of wasting it going back and forth repeating the same things over and over again. They don't have any time left to waste. In the end, just as he predicts, they agree to come with them to Leipzig, but only if they are able to find some way to easily transport Canada. There's no snow or anything, so a sled would be dumb. Alfred muses while he restocks the fire for the night. I've seen shopping carts at the trading posts before, though. That would be big enough, right? Peter can feel Denmark's sigh. Anything with wheels means that we can't go through the woods. We're going to have to follow the highways and roads. His hand still is on Peter's head. That's going to make it twice as dangerous. Canada nods. I understand if you don't want to accompany us. That's not what I mean. Wait, I read that wrong. That's not what I mean, Denmark snaps. We aren't just going to leave you to fend for yourselves. Alfred didn't even know he was in Germany. I'm not even going to imagine him trying to navigate it by himself. He exhales loudly and resumes stroking Peter's hair. We'll take you as far as Leipzig, but I want to make something very, very clear before we go. Alfred peers around the chimney. What? If there's ever a situation where our safety is in jeopardy, he's my first priority. Got it? Well, yeah, I figured. I mean it. Denmark stares intently at him. If we're being chased or run down or anything, you're on your own. He looks down and Peter pretends to be asleep. If getting him out alive means leaving you behind, I'll do it. End of story. We understand, Matthew smiles. We'll try to find our own map in town tomorrow, just in case we have to separate. Good. Denmark doesn't look up at them, still focused on Peter. He pulls the blankets up and tucks them around his shoulders. Do you have any weapons you can bring with you? Knives? Guns? Anything? America snorts loudly. You kidding? Of course I've got a gun. Who the hell do you think I am? Denmark finally tilts his head up to stare warily at him. Okay, you've got a gun. Good. Do you have any bullets for it? He grins sheepishly. Well, I have a few left. He reaches around to grab his bag off the hook and draws out a silver revolver. Smith & Wesson, .38, he says. It holds 6, and I've got 4 left. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second that you only came in with 6 rounds. Of course I didn't. He huffs and stuffs the gun away. I had a ton, but the boxes all went out when we crashed. Flew right off with the wings and exploded somewhere. Denmark gives him a blank stare. You have got to be the luckiest motherfucker on the planet. You know that? It's a miracle that the people here didn't immediately find you. Good things can still happen, Canada says lightly. Besides the revolver, we also have a hunting knife and a lead pipe. Let me guess. Yes, it's Russia's. Right. So, wait. Denmark shakes his head and leans back, his hand dropping to Peter's shoulder. So we have a plan then? Yep. Alfred slaps the chimney doors shut and hangs his pack back up. I'll take you to the trading post tomorrow morning, and then we can leave the day after. He starts to slip into bed next to Canada, but pauses to look back at Denmark. It's kind of a scary place. Peter can stay here with Maddie if he wants to. Denmark's hand tightens around Peter's shoulder. No, we stick together. Are you sure? I mean, the people there are kind of spooky. Like, horror movie spooky. He's been with me to one market already. He can handle it. I'm serious. It's really, really Alfred. Denmark cuts him off sharply. He's a lot braver than a boy his age should ever be. He's made it this far just fine, and he's seen some gross shit. He's not a little kid. Give him some credit. Right. Alfred quickly switches off the lamp to avoid looking Denmark in the eye, dropping the plane into complete darkness except for a thin line of orange that borders the chimney door. He ducks down under the covers and cuddles up to Matthew. Sorry. I'll see you guys in the morning. Good night, Canada adds. If you get cold, we have a few spare blankets. Denmark carefully shifts Peter out of his lap and onto the floor, pulling their own blankets over them both, and settling down beside them. We'll be fine. Good night. Peter waits until he's absolutely sure America and Canada are sleeping before he reaches out to gently shake Denmark's shoulder. Are you awake? He whispers. Mm-hmm. Denmark murmurs into the covers. What's up? Something the matter? No. Peter pauses, smiling to himself. I just wanted to say thank you. What for? For sticking up for me a little while ago. You're the first person who said I'm not a little kid. Denmark's hand appears from somewhere in the dark and ruffles his hair, but he says nothing, instead just laughing quietly under his breath. It's then Peter realizes that he's still wearing the respirator mask. He's never worn it this long while inside before. Peter bites his lip and reaches out to curl his fingers around Denmark's wrist. Hey, Denmark. You're going to be okay, right? Denmark sighs long and heavy and drops his free arm around Peter's shoulders, rubbing small circles into his back. Yeah, he says after a moment. I'm gonna be just fine. Do you promise? Promise what? That you won't die. Denmark shifts up and turns over onto his side to face him. Everyone dies someday, Peter. I know, but, sometime soon. A pause. I'm not going to die yet, kiddo. We've still got too much work to do. He jerks his head somewhere in the direction of America and Canada. And now we gotta look out for them, too. We've got too much to worry about dying right now. We've got too much to do to worry about dying right now. So do you promise? Yeah, I promise. Peter wriggles his arm free of the blankets and holds his pinky out. Pinky swear it. Denmark is quiet for a moment before he laughs and hooks his pinky with Peter's. You really are a little kid, you know that? Peter flushes and stuffs himself under the covers. Shut up. Sleep comes to him quickly, despite the muffled coughing coming from Canada's corner of the plane, and the dull creaks and groans of the plane. Even without walking for the entire day, the constant stream of activity and loud arguing has left him exhausted, and the relief that seeps into his bones when his body starts to relax brings him the most welcome state of empty-mindedness that he nods off within minutes, tucked against Denmark in the blissful quiet. Beneath the covers, he can ignore the sounds around him. He can focus on absolutely nothing, and while he doesn't dream, he's more than content with the vast blackness behind his eyes. His rest is short-lived, however. He wakes in the middle of the night, several hours later, because he is cold. As he pulls himself back to the waking world in slow, steady waves, he's dimly aware of the fire that is still lit, popping inside the chimney, but his primary source of heat is missing. That source, of course, being Denmark. He thinks at first that maybe he's still unconscious, but just to be sure, he scrubs his hands over his eyes and blinks the thick, sleepy feeling from them, sitting up and letting the blankets fall around his waist. Canada and America are still sound asleep, if Alfred's snoring is any indication, but he finds Denmark seated next to the wall, the flashlight in one hand and his cheek in the other. He's sitting on his knees and peering into the cracked mirror hanging from a stripped bolt in the panel, the light angled enough that he can see his face. The mask is on the floor next to him. "Denmark?" Peter mumbles. "What time is it?" He doesn't turn away from the mirror. "Late. What are you doing?" "You should go back to sleep, Peter. We're going to have a long walk into the city today." Peter frowns in concern. He pulls the covers off of his legs and starts to crawl over next to him. "What's the matter?" Denmark glances over at him. He has a thin line of blood streaming down his temple, a trail that starts from near his hairline where the butt of a pistol struck deep several weeks ago, leaving a thick scab that is now missing entirely. "Nothing's the matter." Peter's eyes widen a fraction and he stops in front of him. "You're bleeding." "I know. What happened?" "Nothing." He lifts his free hand and wags his index finger, the tip of which is stained red. "I did it on purpose." His eyebrows knit. "What?" Denmark turns back to look in the mirror. "I don't want it to heal all the way. I want it to scar first." "Why?" He shrugs and looks over his shoulder. "It's the last thing he gave me." He wipes the back of his hand across his cheek to clean it off. "I want to keep it." "Oh. Do you think that's weird?" Peter shakes his head. "I guess not." He shifts forward and catches the last rogue smear of blood with his knuckle, drawing it away from Denmark's skin and onto his own, and scuffs it away on the leg of his jeans. "You should try to sleep." Denmark offers him a lopsided smile. "Yes, Mom." Peter rolls his eyes. "Take your own advice, dummy." He grabs Denmark's arm and drags him back into their nest of blankets on the wall, rolling his eyes when Denmark tips over dramatically. "What? Wait. What, no story?" "Just go to sleep." He clicks off the flashlight and flops down next to him. "Geez, and you call me a little kid?" Denmark chuckles but relents, and tugs the blankets back up. Again, the plane settles into an easy silence, and Peter spends a long time lying on his side, just staring through the dark and at the dim outline of Denmark's face. "It's not weird," he murmurs to himself, and runs the tip of his finger over the pad of his thumb, over the hard vertical strip of calloused skin that rests there, an old paper cut from a week before the calamity. It's healed now, but is well scarred over thanks to his constant picking at it over the months spent alone in the bunker. He had wanted it to scar too. It's not exactly battle damage or a badge of combat, but even still, it's something that he wants to keep. It's the last inane little scrape that Finland ever kissed better. Aww. In the morning, Alfred rouses them by way of ripping the covers off and shouting a far too enthusiastic good morning. "Good morning, ladies!" he chimes and throws their blankets into the pile surrounding Matthew. "Time to get up and moving. Up, up, up! Lots to do!" Wow, he is energetic. Peter groans and sits up, fixing a hard glare on America as his attention is diverted to packing up his bag for the day and opening breakfast for he and his brother. The plane is still dark, lit by only the lamp, but there is enough light streaming through the door that he can tell that it's at least past dawn. Something he assumes he should be thankful for given the excited manner he's been woken in. "Do you always wake up this happy?" Peter yawns. "Huh?" America's head pops out from behind the chimney. Speaking of yawning, what are you talking about? I'm in a terrible mood. Peter stares at him through his bangs. If this is you in a bad mood, I don't ever want to see you in a good mood. Canada laughs from under the covers. You saw him in a decent mood yesterday when you found each other, didn't you? Yeah. He scrubs his eyes and yawns again. Let's not do that again. He turns slightly to look down at Denmark. Remarkably, he's still asleep despite America's loud puttering and rude awakening. He turned on his side with an arm beneath his head and eyes lightly shut above his mask. Peter pauses and studies him for a moment. Shadows run deep in his face, caught in crevices around his cheeks and eyes, and already he is in need of another haircut. But through the bruises still lingering on his skin and his gaunt appearance, he looks peaceful in rest. The perpetual worry lines around his eyes are eased, and his eyebrows aren't creasing his forehead like they always seem to. He looks calm. He looks relaxed. He looks like a ghost. Peter reaches out to shake his shoulder. It's time to get up. Denmark makes no move to do so. He continues to lay still, head cradled in the crook of his arm, his eyelashes not even fluttering when Peter shakes him again. Denmark, come on. We've got to get ready. Peter frowns. Again, nothing. Something hard and cold begins to settle into his stomach. He curls his fingers into Denmark's sweater. Denmark? Alright, and I'm going to end it there for now because this is already taking up my phone space too much. Alright, so have a good day or night. I will get the second part out to you guys probably in a couple of minutes. Alrighty, bye-bye.